Chapter 11. Closures. Southbound I-405. Mile 17.5. 57 minutes. I carajo pendejo. Quit honking. Xochitl flipped the bird to a car. Crawling past her window, it blared its horn as it slowly crested the Sepulveda Pass. I can't go any faster. She looked down at the speedometer on El Gallo's instrument panel. Hi Joel. We're barely going over 10 miles an hour. Geez. Lucy jolted upright. I thought you were resting. Xochitl glanced at her partner. How can I when you've been shouting for the past hour? Lucy shifted in her seat and drew in a quick breath. Sorry. But man, if it's not the giant rig slowing us down. Xochitl looked up into the rearview mirror to check on the 15-foot trailer rattling behind. The Tornado? It's the bumper-to-bumper traffic. She yelled at the cars in front of her. It's past 9 at night. Where are all you people going? Don't you have homes? Construction. Lucy yawned. But I checked, Xochitl whined. Why does Caltrans bother having a closure website if they don't update the pinch thing? El Gallo inched over the ridge of the 405 freeway, stationed on the shoulder. Bright work lights illuminated orange dumpster trucks and construction workers, wearing reflective jackets and hard hats. Wasn't this freeway improvement supposed to be finished years ago? Xochitl grumbled. That's what they promised, Lucy replied. At this rate, it'll be sunrise before we get to San Pedro. Xochitl rested her elbow on the edge of the driver's side door and leaned her head on her hand. We're not gonna make our window. I'd better call Hannah. Lucy dug out her phone from her bomber jacket. Give her an update. Oi pendejo. Move. Xochitl laid on the horn. Zoc. Lucy lightly shoved Xochitl's arm and turned on the radio. Here go. To your happy place. And should the 2-year quarantine be lifted and California's borders be reopened? The debate continues tomorrow on Fleming's Beltway Report. A dulcet male voice said. Coming up next on KNUZ 88.3 FM, World Music with Malik Ocambo after these messages. Hound chow. Hound chow. It's all your hound chows. The music of an upbeat commercial jingle blasted through the car speakers. Hound ch. Ugh. Xochitl turned off the radio. That song always gets stuck in my head. I think it's catchy, Lucy replied. Xochitl glared at her friend who had her cell phone up to her ear. She's not. Answer. Lucy raised her hand. Hey Hannah, it's Luce. I was hoping to catch you. Maybe. You're at Molly's. I hate talking into these things. Xochitl lightly tapped Lucy and motioned for her to get on with the message. Oh anyway. Wait, there's a beeping noise. Lucy looked at her phone. Someone's trying to call in. Xochitl sighed. Answer it. How? Lucy pushed a button. Shoot. I think I lost them. Lucy clicked back to her original call. Damn it. I lost my call. Xochitl rolled her eyes. Oh wait. Lucy looked down on her phone and pressed the telephone button. Again. Hello. Oh hey Hannah. Yeah, that was me. I know. Xochitl thinks so. Too. That must drive Hannah nuts. Well, we have that in common at least, Xochitl mumbled, frustrated by Lucy's lack of technological prowess. Lucy put her finger up to her mouth to shush Xochitl. No, it went fine. We got him. Lucy glanced at her, looking concerned. What? Xochitl whispered. Well no. Now look Hannah. This is Xochitl's friend and we needed to help him. You don't charge for a case. Charge. Xochitl knew now Hannah was upset they hadn't charged for taking care of Travis. You tell Hannah. No. I'll tell her. Xochitl tried to grab Lucy's phone, but Lucy swatted her hand away. Keep your eyes on the road, Lucy sternly whispered, putting her hand over the receiver. I'll handle this. Xochitl turned away from Lucy and stared out the windshield. She was fuming. Mad. How dare she? Xochitl mumbled, exasperated. Hannah? You there? Lucy asked. Look, it is what it is. We did a friend a favor. End of story. Xochitl glanced at Lucy, surprised and proud at how she'd handled Hannah. There's hope for you yet, Xochitl whispered. Anyway, Lucy continued, during the Travis run we came across what I think was mange. The memory of Farrell Marley scabbed up and dying in that cave along with the word mange had Xochitl scratching at her neck and arms again. Don't scratch. Lucy slapped at Xochitl's hand. Oh, Xochitl fell into some poison oak. Don't tell her that. Xochitl smacked Lucy's arm. I'm almost positive. Lucy shrugged off Xochitl's scolding. I need you to find out if there have been any reported cases of diseased hounds or ferals in recent months. That'd be great. Thanks. Yeah, we'll call when we're done. With Travis. It'll be a while. Okay. Bye. Lucy hung up her phone and shoved it back in her jacket pocket. So, Xochitl asked. She understands, Lucy replied but added nothing further. I bet. Xochitl gazed out the window of El Gallo, taking in the west side of Los Angeles, a little more difficult now that they were up to a whopping 25 miles an hour. 40 miles. 2 hours 32 minutes. Xochitl's stomach grumbled, and she felt the beginning of a headache coming on. I'm starving. She glanced at Lucy slouched down in her seat, her eyes closed. I said I'm starving, Xochitl said louder, leaning toward Lucy for emphasis. I heard you. Lucy scooted up and looked out the window. Where are we? Almost to Carson, I think. Xochitl yawned. Good. Lucy perked up. We're almost there. My ass hurts and we've been on the road almost 3 hours. I need some food. Xochitl shifted in her seat. Almost there. I'll believe that when I see it. Fine, Lucy said. Take the next exit and we'll get drive-through. How are we going to manage that with a huge monstrosity attached to us? Xochitl grumbled. Don't worry about it. Lucy pointed ahead and added in a sing-songy voice. I see some golden arches. The giant gold and red sign loomed just off the exit. Yes. Xochitl flicked on the turn signal and veered El Gallo toward the off-ramp. Xochitl made a slow wide turn into the parking lot of the fast food mecca. Drive-through open 24 hours sign glowed neon red. Past the sign a road curved around back. So, Xochitl raised her eyebrows smugly. Just pull over there. Lucy nodded to the empty parking spaces ahead. Xochitl parked El Gallo perpendicular to the spaces, taking up all of them at once. She figured no one would need them this late at night and she wouldn't have to worry about backing out. Wait here. Lucy got out of the car and headed over to the outdoor menu sign. Esta loca. Xochitl chuckled as she rolled down her window to let the cold night air invigorate her. She leaned her head on the window frame and watched Lucy as she stood in the middle of the driveway conversing with the fast food menu sign. Few minutes later, Lucy walked around the corner of the building and out of sight. Hound chow, Xochitl hummed. It's all your hound. Carajo. Xochitl quickly switched on the radio, desperate to exorcise the nagging jingle stuck in her head. Tired of your feral getting loose all the time? Don't want the catchers to nab little Joey? A male commercial announcer's voice bellowed through the speakers. I'm so tired of little Joey getting out of his cage. A distressed female voice said. What will happen to him if the catchers nab him? The commercial announcer answered the woman's cry for help. What you need is the Feral Electric Collar EX. Twice the power of a regular collar with a built-in tracking system that will allow you to track little Joey for up to 10 miles. With extreme accuracy. Extreme accuracy. 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 Or you could just shoot little Joey in the head and get it over with. Xochitl switched stations. Country. No. She continued turning the dial. Tejano no. Classical. Will put me to sleep. Crappy rap. Wannabe. Definitely no. Grr. She switched off the radio and leaned back in her seat. As her eyes began to droop, a crashing bang like orchestral cymbals smacking together startled her. What the? Xochitl looked around. She got out of the car to investigate but didn't see anything out of the ordinary. She tested the latch on the trailer. Doors. Locked up nice and tight. What you doin'? Lucy said. Xochitl jumped. Hi Joel. She put her hand to her chest. Don't do that. Kinda skittish? Lucy smirked as Xochitl gave her the evil eye. Sorry. Lucy held up a cardboard carrier holding 2 huge sodas and a bag dripping with grease. Peace offering? Those are big-ass drinks, Xochitl said, taking the soda tray from Lucy. No coffee after hours. Lucy shrugged. Thought this would be enough caffeine to see us through. She looked around. So what's up? Nothing, Xochitl replied. Thought I heard something. Another loud bang sounded as an old beat-up truck drove toward the on-ramp. Backfire, Lucy said. That must have been it. Yeah, Xochitl agreed hesitantly, dismissing her heebie-jeebies. The two women made their way back to El Gallo. Why don't I drive? Lucy winked and laughed at her own joke. Xochitl grimaced. You're funny. She opened the driver's side door and scooted behind the wheel, careful not to spill the drinks. Lucy slid in the car beside Xochitl and took the sodas. No sooner had Xochitl pulled El Gallo onto the 110 South than they were stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic, miles of red taillights ahead of them. No, Xochitl whined. The freeway was just clear. Dejected, she rested her forehead on the steering wheel. Here, Lucy said. Xochitl rolled her head to the side and eyed Lucy holding a half-unwrapped cheeseburger. I think it's an accident, Lucy said. Out of nowhere sirens screamed, then gradually dissipated. What are you, psychic? Xochitl asked, snatching the burger. Huh. I don't know. Lucy opened her container of chicken pieces and dipped them in barbecue sauce. Xochitl took a bite of her burger. The cheesy goodness should have made her feel better, but all she thought about were the hours ticking by and her lack of sleep. She ate the burger in a few quick bites, crumpled up the wrapper in her hand and tossed it into the bag. Wah! She cried. My feet itch. Lucy handed her the giant soda. Thanks, Xochitl snarled. That should take care of my headache but not my feet. She sucked down every drop of the caffeinated beverage, burped and shoved the empty cup into the greasy bag. That's the spirit. Lucy smiled and popped the last of her chicken nuggets into her mouth. A high-pitched ringtone trilled through the car. Crop. Lucy chewed. Bag. Xochitl yelled at Lucy, who was about to throw her nugget carton in the back seat. This isn't your pinch pigsty of a dog, Caro. She pointed to the fast food bag on the floor. Okay, geez. Lucy dumped her trash, dug into her jacket pocket and pulled out her cell phone, which was simultaneously ringing and vibrating. It's Imogen again, Lucy groaned. Answer it. She's just going to keep calling. Oh, we're moving. Xochitl stuck El Gallo's nose between two cars and tried to merge into the next lane. Over. I'm bigger than you, Pendejo. Let me in. From the side view mirror, she could see the car behind them giving El Gallo and the trailer a wide berth. I'm gonna turn off the ringer. Lucy fumbled with the buttons on the phone. There, that'll shut her up, she said with an ugly tone. Hello? Lucy, is that you? Am I on speaker? Imogen sounded cheerful. What? That's not possible. Lucy looked at the phone as if it had bitten her. Xochitl laughed. Hi, Imogen. Lucy has been so eager to talk to you. Lucy pinched the middle of Xochitl's arm just above the triceps where the nerves were sensitive. Hey, driving. Xochitl scolded, rubbing her arm. You and your pinch. Bad temper. You should talk, Lucy grumbled. Is she acting out again? Imogen inquired as if discussing a rambunctious 6-year-old. She pinched me with those long witchy fingers, Xochitl moaned for maximum sympathy. Could be a cry for help. Maybe you are not giving her enough physical attention. Xochitl and Lucy made gagging sounds, while Imogen rustled papers and clacked on her keyboard. It says in her file she is very closed off. Doesn't like to be touched. It really could be that violence is the only way she can establish a connection. Imogen finished, but echoed herself as she was clearly taking notes on the phone call. Establishing physical connection through violence. Xochitl shuddered and mimicked Imogen's cadence. She's so inappropriate. No. Social skills. Am I gonna have to throw this phone away too? Lucy threatened. Oh, please do. Xochitl folded her hands together as if praying. No, come on. It took me days to track you down after you ditched the last burner phone. It's costly, both time and money wasted. Imogen's pitch rose to a whine. Don't throw out the phone. I'll stop analyzing your special relationship. Stopped again. Lucy fidgeted in her seat. Xochitl found her friend's futile attempts to contain her anger extremely amusing. Lucy's shrink could wind her up so tight that her face would turn beet red and her jaw would clamp shut like a vice. Looks like tonight is one of those times. Xochitl snickered. So what's up, Imogen? Lucy rolled her eyes and looked like she hoped the conversation would be over soon. So how are you feeling? Imogen asked. Fine, Lucy said, not elaborating. Don't you hate it when she does that? Xochitl smiled. Lucy smacked her in the arm. Owawa. Uncharacteristically, Imogen said nothing for a few moments. Xochitl looked over to Lucy, clearly irritated and rubbing her eyes. Is she still there? Xochitl whispered to Lucy. not wanting the entertainment to end. Xochitl yelled over to the phone. You still there, Imogen? Any. Imogen seemed to be waiting for Lucy to volunteer information, then sighed and gave up. Lupe would like to meet her Aunt Lucy, Imogen stated outright. You named the Werebaby Lupe? Lucy asked. Xochitl's foot slipped off the brake pedal. Werebaby. El Gallo lurched forward, nearly rear-ending the car in front of them. You have a Werebaby. She jammed on the brakes. So not funny. Hijo de puta. She pointed at the phone. Te patina el coco. Lupe's not much of a baby anymore, Imogen continued, oblivious to Xochitl's outburst. Es muy estúpida. Xochitl ranted on. You should see Lupe. She's beautiful. I think I'll be sending her to school in the fall. Imogen sounded like any mom discussing her child's entrance into the school system. I carajo. Xochitl threw up her arms. Say acabo. You can't. Lucy swatted at Xochitl. Whatever, I'm done. Xochitl turned her attention back to the road though. They were going nowhere. She tried to tune out Imogen. An impossible feat. You're right. Homeschooling is a better way to go. Imogen sounded deep in thought. I was wondering if the two of you could swing by my place. Xochitl shifted in her seat. Switch with me, she said. My back. Right now. Lucy mouthed. Yes, while we're stopped. Xochitl put the car in park. I can't take this anymore. Hold on, Imogen. Lucy shot Xochitl an annoyed look. Everything okay? Imogen asked in a sickly sweet voice that made Xochitl want to gag. Yeah. Just. Lucy grunted and scooted under Xochitl, as Xochitl raised herself up and shimmied over Lucy to the passenger side. Hold on, ow. Okay, because I have to do your quarterly report and I can't really leave Lupe alone, Imogen continued, not holding on. I can't really get any babysitters for her, but doggy daycare doesn't really sound right either. I'm in a quandary. You could really help out here, Lucy. Objecting, Lucy shook her head as if she were trying to get water out of her ears. Xochitl fervently agreed. No way. Just fill out the damn report and mail it to the court, Lucy said. Stepped on the brake and put the car in drive. Traffic started to clear, and El Gallo slowly rolled forward. They inched by. The cause of their 30-minute delay, the remnants of a small hybrid, its driver's side completely smashed in. It looked to have been slammed into the median by an SUV. Xochitl crossed herself in silent prayer. That would be unethical, Imogen shrilled, sounding genuinely shocked and bringing Xochitl's attention back to the absurd conversation. Says the woman who kidnapped a newborn from a crime scene, Lucy snapped. I'm hanging up. Lucy pounded her phone against the dash and threw the broken pieces out the window. Good, now I can get you a better phone, Xochitl said evenly as El Gallo crawled along the harbor freeway. 41 miles. 3 hours 15 minutes. How is this happening? Lucy slammed down on the horn. We're only 5 miles away. Welcome to hell, Lucy Lowell. Xochitl groaned, staring straight ahead at the never-ending trail of red taillights. The emergency responders had cleared the accident 20 minutes ago, but it did nothing for the backup of cars all headed in the same direction. This is hell. Can't get worse than this. What the? Xochitl felt her cell buzz in her pocket and pulled it out, checking the caller ID. Great. She pressed the speaker icon on her phone and moved it closer to Lucy. What? Lucy asked. It's for you. Xochitl showed Lucy the name on the screen. Scary bitch. Hannah. Lucy looked perplexed. What the hell happened to your phone? Hannah's voice sounded tinny over the speaker. I've been calling you for 20 minutes. Nah. You only tossed your phone 15 minutes ago. Xochitl quipped, displeased that Hannah had called her phone to reach Lucy. You dumped your phone? Hannah bellowed. Again. Couldn't be helped. Lucy grabbed the cell phone from Xochitl, staring daggers at her. What did you find out, Hannah? That's what you get for giving her my number. Gimme that. Xochitl grabbed the phone back. We can't get pulled over. She held the phone near Lucy so she could hear. Are you two finished? Hannah was clearly still upset the Travis job was pro bono. Xochitl didn't care. Sorry, Hannah. Lucy sighed. It's been a long trip. You haven't gotten to San Pedro yet? Hannah sounded exasperated. What's she got to be so pissed about? Xochitl said, knowing Hannah could hear her. We're the ones stuck in this shit. No. Lucy glared at Xochitl. Hannah, I don't want to talk about it. Neither do I. Xochitl huffed. Fine. Hannah was curt as she changed the subject. Well, I haven't found any cases of diseased hounds or ferals being reported. Are you sure it was mange? Yes, mange. I saw it all the time working for the ACTF. Lucy didn't elaborate. This time Xochitl didn't blame her. The thought of oozing pustules and the horrible stench in the cave made Zoki's skin crawl, and she began scratching at her neck again. Marley had all the classic symptoms, Lucy continued. Patchy fur, crusted over wounds, sores, scabbing. Clumps of skin were sloughing off when she wasn't even moving. Guess that would be the mites, Hannah pondered out loud. The what? Xochitl sat up straight. Parasitic mites cause mange, Lucy explained. Erherk. Xochitl's free hand flew to the rearview mirror, turning it toward her. She stared at the red rash on her neck, which seemed to be spreading. Did I get mange? I itch. Make it stop. People don't get mange. Lucy gently pulled Xochitl back from the mirror. Zoki's practical side was aware Lucy was trying to keep her from panicking. But it was too late. She was freaked. There have been cases, Hannah started. Pushed. Lucy snapped. Not helping. No, let her talk, Xochitl demanded, scrubbing her nails through her scalp. I don't want mange. You got poison oak. That's why you are itching. We'll pick up some calamine lotion later. Lucy waved her hand, dismissing Xochitl's freakout. People don't get mange. But this hound did. Hannah turned the conversation back to Marley. She was a feral, and she was living like a stray in the canyon. Lucy threw in, rubbing at her eye with the palm of her hand. Xochitl could tell Lucy still saw Marley lying on the cave floor, dying, and wanted to scream as much as Zoki did. They knew putting Marley out of her misery was the right thing to do, though the thought didn't make it hurt any less. Zoki hoped Travis would never know what had happened to the girl he loved. Wishful thinking, Zoc. Well, that might be a clue. Hannah made a searching hum sound and Lucy looked intrigued. Lucy, do you remember your mama helping those research scientists from Davis? Hannah asked. As Xochitl listened to their conversation, the enormous soda she'd slurped down took its vengeance. She was overcome with the sudden urge to use the bathroom. My mama was helping out 2 PhD candidates with a coyote study some years back. She cleared the road for them with the town council, Lucy explained to Xochitl. Oh, Xochitl replied and whispered, I have to pee. Hold it. Lucy turned her attention back to Hannah. Your mama did more than that, Hannah continued. She really got involved with that study. Anyway, while they were tracking the coyotes' movement patterns throughout the season, they noticed that a number of the healthy coyotes suddenly came down with a deadly mange. Really? Lucy frowned. Xochitl was growing more uncomfortable by the minute. Your mama said the researchers had a theory that rat poison was causing the problem. The coyotes were being poisoned by eating rodents that had been poisoned. Wouldn't rat poison just poison the coyotes outright? Xochitl questioned, trying to keep her attention on the conversation and not on her bladder, a task she was failing. Zoki's leg bounced involuntarily. I have to pee, she reiterated quietly. Wait, Lucy hissed through gritted teeth. Xochitl groaned and waved her hand in a let's get on with it motion. It was more complicated than that. Hannah seemed to search her memory, apparently unaware or uncaring of Xochitl's need to wrap up the conversation. I don't quite remember what your mama said, Lucy. Something about prolonged secondary exposure. The rat poison would get into the coyotes' digestive system and make them unable to fight common diseases such as mange. It would compromise their immune system like HIV? Lucy asked, also more interested in dead coyotes than Xochitl's need for a pit stop. It was just a theory, Hannah said, not exactly answering the question. But Ellie said something like 90% of the dead coyotes analyzed tested positive for rodenticides, and she made us stop using rat poison at the ranch. Xochitl felt like her eyes were filling up with water. Was that the summer Chasselas spent months digging up that rat's nest out by the back fence? Lucy giggled at the memory. Yeah, we did have a problem that year. Almost lost the garden to the gophers. Too, Hannah said. But Mama took her revenge, huh, Hannah? Lucy looked out the window. I think her motto was kill him with kindness, Hannah replied. What did your mom do to the gophers? Xochitl asked, hearing the uncomfortable tone in her own voice and hoping Lucy could too. Chocolate X-lax, Lucy explained. Not Mama's best moment. She sounded melancholy and clearly still hurt at the mention of her mother. So they would shit themselves to death? Xochitl tried to lighten the mood. At least they got to relieve themselves. She poked Lucy's arm. Lucy gave her a weak smile. Zoki's bladder threatened to explode. But it worked. Hannah sounded defensive. Fox urine works just as well, Lucy argued. And you're not. But how do you make a fox pee on command? Xochitl feigned interest, hoping to calm Lucy down. You buy the urine at the store, city girl. Lucy laughed. Freakin' rednecks. Xochitl shook her head and drawled in her best foghorn. Leghorn impression, Luce, I reckon. We could make some squirrel stew tonight. After I pee. That is. Lucy rolled her eyes. That a girl. Back on the happy train. Only if you're really good and stop scratching your nasty swollen poison oak pustules. Lucy held up a finger and pointed to a gas station sign on the side of the freeway. Oh, thank God. Xochitl groaned. Hannah, we're pulling over for gas. Could you look into that mange thing some more? Lucy asked. If worse can come down with some sort of immune thing, we need to know. Lucy nodded to Xochitl, who ended the call before Hannah could answer. You can be such a baby sometimes, Lucy said, pulling El Gallo onto the off-ramp. It's your fault for buying those pinch sodas. Xochitl tucked her phone inside her vest pocket and grabbed the door handle, ready to jump out of the car as soon as they parked. Pull into that one. She pointed to a gas station that catered to truckers. It'll be easier to park. My papa always said truckers are the best kind of people to have around when you're traveling. Lucy parked the Toronado and attached horse trailer in a lane long enough for a big rig. Xochitl immediately jumped out of the car and raced into the all-night convenience store and restaurant. Bathroom, she yelped to the attendant behind the counter. The 20-something Hispanic kid seemed amused by Zoki's discomfort. He pointed to the large restroom sign at back of the store. Oh, thank God. She darted for the door marked ladies and raced into the nearest stall. A few minutes later, Xochitl exited the ladies' room feeling more refreshed. She combed the store for calamine lotion and spotted Lucy behind one of the snack racks. So pretzels or chips? Xochitl sashayed up to Lucy. Huh. Lucy looked lost in thought. You gonna buy something? Xochitl nodded to the assortment of snacks lining the display rack. Oh yeah. Lucy grabbed a bag of pretzels and headed for the counter to pay. I got gas too. Great. Oh, pepitas. Xochitl snatched the bag of roasted pumpkin seeds, her favorite, and followed Lucy to the register. Xochitl squinted at the clerk's name tag. Todd. That'll be $147.95, Todd said, after ringing up their gas, snacks and calamine lotion. Hi, Joel. Xochitl shook her head and pulled the business credit card from her wallet. Lucy raised her eyebrow. What? Xochitl slapped the card on the counter. Serves her right. She ran her finger over the name on the card. Hannah's Rescue and Rehabilitation, she said with slight disdain. I still don't know about that. We shoulda stuck with the Werewolf Whisperer. That's the name everybody knows. Hannah's a control freak. Xochitl signed the credit card slip. Your funeral. Lucy grabbed the snacks and turned toward the glass doors. Holy shit. Xochitl heard the bag thump on the floor. What? She glanced up. What the? Todd blurted out. At the pumps, their 15-foot black horse rig bounced up and down off the pavement. I carajo. Xochitl snatched the credit card off the counter and pulled a frozen Lucy out. Chapter 12. Breaking news from Isla. The Levanton continues. Mass kidnappings cause fear and panic throughout East LA and the Valley. Local suspect gangs and blame police for the removal of the afflicted. Negative refuses to comment. Breaking news from Isla. 23 months ago. Attention all units. Attention all units. This is an end-of-watch broadcast. For Police Officer 2 Gabriel Adrian Torres, serial number 20160. The police radio crackled the transmission. Captain Birch took one hand off the wheel and adjusted the volume for better reception. Riding shotgun in Birch's cruiser, Lucy felt all strength drain from her limbs and bile rise up to her throat. She and Birch were heading into East Los Locos territory, not knowing what to expect but determined to find Memo Morales and Xochitl Magaña. Hearing Gabe's end-of-watch broadcast shocked Lucy and made her ill. Gabe. I didn't even get to say goodbye. Torres graduated from the academy in Los Angeles and completed his probation at Van Nuys Division. He was assigned to the Los Angeles Metropolitan Animal Cruelty Task Force, where he worked until April of this year. Afraid to miss even one word, Lucy said nothing but stared hard at Birch, who kept his eyes on the road. She blinked away tears. Gabriel Torres worked many investigative assignments during his career. His dedication and superior investigative skills led to many arrests. Gabriel takes great pride in the work he did with his partner officer Lucy. Lowell takes, as in present tense. Lucy shouted, Birch, you bastard. Captain Birch chuckled. Torres plans to dedicate his retirement to the rescue and proper training of bully breed dogs, as well as the eradication of all dogfighting in the city of Los Angeles. Officer Torres, we wish you well in retirement. The transmission ended. His retirement. Lucy pounded the window with her fist and stomped her feet down on the car floor, sending up dust and dirt from the rubber mat. Hot damn. I'll have to call him when we're done. Lucy rolled down the window and yelled out, Gabe's not dead. She turned to Birch, searching for words. Birch, you are an ace. She stretched out the last word and punctuated it by slapping both hands on the dashboard. Birch laughed out loud. Lucy, you are a hemorrhoid. You've been nothing but a giant pain in my sphincter. Serves you right. She joined in his laughter as they rolled into East Los Locos territory. Lucy was still laughing hysterically when they pulled up to the rundown apartment complex on Figueroa Terrace. She bounced out of the car, but her mood changed as soon as she saw the desolated street. The area was unusually empty, and homemade barricades blocked a construction site. Oversized LL graffiti blanketed every available surface, as if the taggers had become unhinged. Like a pack of wild dogs, the East Los Locos had marked their turf. Barbed wire stretched across apartment balcony rails. Collections of photos, candles, flowers, and rosary beads made up sad little corner shrines, offerings to the Virgin for those who had been lost. Something felt deeply wrong. Lucy flicked the release tab of her holster, freeing her Beretta, and followed Birch cautiously to the intercom at a white wrought iron gate. You really think this Terrace Edge neighborhood watch is gonna help us find Memo? She asked as Birch pushed the intercom button. No answer. He waited a moment, then tried again. Still no answer. Damn, they're hiding. Musta known what we were coming for, Birch said and kicked the gate. Mr. Vasquez. Mrs. Robles. Hello, he hollered loud enough for the whole complex to hear. Go away, puerco, a young child's high voice called out. Esta, nobody home. Where do you recruit your informants, preschool? Lucy teased Birch. They obviously take you seriously. Must be your sparkling personality. If we had Gabe here, those doors would be wide open. You're walking on thin ice, Lowell. Yeah. Tell me something I haven't heard. Lucy smiled at Birch, the good-natured teasing coming easily now that she knew Birch had her back. Now, where boss? Birch grumbled something involving a long walk and a short pier, but turned from the gate at a loss. Lucy scanned the area, their elevation granting her a good vantage point. The hilly street allowed her to see clearly to the high-rises of downtown. Small houses and gated apartments crowded into each other. The midday sun beat down hard, and she started to feel the beginnings of a headache. Must be hungry. The thought of food made her stomach tighten and her muscles contract in spasms. Her imagination conjured up the sweet aroma of roast pork. Do you smell it? Lucy asked Birch with a reverent whisper. I smell warm piss and asphalt, Birch snapped back, walking to the cruiser with purpose. I hate fucking palm trees in the barrio. Sends the wrong message. It's Cabra Blanca, and it's close. Lucy didn't wait for Birch but took long strides down the street, senses sharp. A tiny Spanish house with bars on the windows and a long driveway that wound around to the back caught Lucy's attention. Following the scent of carnitas and barbacoa, she walked down the cracked concrete and cautiously peeked around the corner of the house. The Cabra Blanca food truck sat nestled under the roof of a makeshift carport. While the sizzling of meat on a grill was absent, Lucy could still smell the delicious aroma of braised pork and fresh tortillas. Low grunting came from the inside of the truck. Lucy drew her gun and checked her back. She could hear Birch's quiet boot fall down the driveway. She signaled him and on his nod approached the cracked open door. She looked inside to see a dark figure rooting around. It grunted again and clawed at the ground. Stop! Lucy commanded what could only be a small, chubby werbeast. Mocos! A round, dark-haired man turned with unexpected dexterity, smashing spilled tortilla chips with his knees. Ay caramba! Eddie Ibanez exclaimed and stumbled back, clutching his chest. Lucy holstered her beretta and jumped into the truck to steady the man. It's okay, Eddie. I thought you were one of the creature beasts. Lucy supported his back, allowing the man to find both his breath and his balance. Officer Lowell, I thought you were one of the East Los coming back. They hit me for food a couple of hours ago. Broke into my damn house while I was cooking. Made a mess of my truck too. Useless delinquents, juveniles. Everything okay, Lowell? Birch shouted from the yard. All set, boss. Lucy called out. Come around, Birch. You're gonna want to hear this. She sat back on her haunches, taking a look around. The usually pristine interior of the truck was covered in dropped bits of cooked meats and grilled vegetables, smashed containers and spilled condiments. Eddie's broom and mop lay to the side of the black plastic garbage bag he'd been filling with broken tortilla chips. Rising, Eddie grabbed a cup from under the counter and stumbled to his stainless steel ice bin. Holding himself steady with one hand, he scooped up a cupful of cubes from between bottles of soda and chilling beers. He turned back to Lucy and Birch, holding the cup to his forehead and cheeks. Captain Birch, this is Eduardo Ibanez, owner and #1 chef of the famed Cabra food truck. Lucy stood tall and made the introduction as formal as she could, hoping Eddie would trust them enough to share information. Eddie, this is my boss, Captain Birch. Senor Ibanez. Birch sounded respectful and concerned. Officer Lowell and I are investigating the recent attacks and the Levanton. We are hoping to find out what has been happening in this neighborhood. Lucy was impressed that Birch remembered the name given to the mass kidnappings by the folks on the street. She just wasn't sure Eddie could be convinced to roll on the East Los Locos. Bad days. Muy malo. Eddie shook his head and stared down at the floor. They took my Lenore. The East Los. And I let them. He burst forth, voice cracking. They said I have to give them food every day, or they hurt Lenore. Was Lenore okay when they took her, or? Lucy let her voice trail off. Eddie looked up at her, his heartbreak palpable. She's gone, Loba. Some of El Gallo's boys knocked her out with a beanbag gun and threw her in the back of their El Camino before she could hurt my customers. It was on Alvarado, middle of the day. It was good they were there. But now, they won't bring her back. The man mopped his forehead with a bar towel. When did they take her, Eddie? Lucy asked. 3 days ago. My wife reported her missing. I was going to report what really happened. It was clear to Lucy that Eddie was just saying that last part. He'd had no intention of reporting the kidnapping. She had no doubt that the East Los Locos had sprung up as enforcers, taking immediate advantage of what would rapidly turn into anarchy on the streets unless Rice and the National Guard could quell it. I understand, Eddie. Her tone said that she'd caught his lie but wasn't going to make an issue of it. But now you have to help me. You know they won't let her go. If I can find Memo's hideout, maybe we can free Lenore and the other kids. Eddie nodded but said nothing at first, considering his options. No say. He gave Lucy a hard look. Come on, Eddie. You do know. Lucy got very close and gently put her hand on Eddie's arm. He flinched away from her touch. No say. No say. No say. Senor Ibanez, please help us bring the kids back home. El Gallo is terrorizing the neighborhood. Birch broke in. El Gallo keeps us safe from the attacks. His boys ride around and hunt Los Bestias with their machine guns. Eddie trailed off and took a big, rattling breath. I just want my Lenore back. Okay, I get it. Lucy hurried because she could see the man was overwhelmed and about to shut down. You want to keep your family safe. But give me something. If you can't tell me, give me a name. Someone who knows something. Someone who would talk. Eddie paused and fished a few ice cubes from his cup. He rubbed them on the back of his neck. I get all sorts of people at the truck. Some come every day. He paused, unsure of how to say the next part. He leaned against the truck wall with a deep sigh. Anita Magaña comes first thing every morning, always smells like tequila. Except the other night she shows up sober. El Gallo drops her off in that crazy orange car of his. Memo Morales is known for his classic 66 Toronado, orange like the sun mint. Condition, Lucy explained to Birch. Eddie continued. Anita is crying her eyes out. Says Miguel hates her. Says she's going to her sister Xochitl. Eats 6 goat tacos. Pays with pesos never. Paid with pesos before. Lucy hid her surprise and grunted non-committally. If Eddie didn't know he'd just connected the dots for them, he wouldn't be able to spill his betrayal to anyone who'd tell Memo. Birch caught on right away. Senor, we were hoping for something specific. A fight between some drunk and her son is gossip, nothing more, Birch said and abruptly walked away from the truck and toward the road. Eddie, get yourself out of here as soon as you can. Lucy fought her instinct and didn't touch the man's sleeve this time. She knew he didn't want comfort from her. He wanted the truth. We can't keep you safe. The blood drained from Eddie's face and he stumbled back an inch. That might have been too much truth. Lucy unclipped the pepper spray from her belt. This could buy you a minute, she said and set the container on the counter. Spray's up to 12 feet, so don't get too close and point it away from your face. She gave him a curt nod, turned on her heels and followed Birch. The metal cage dug into Xochitl's tender ribs as she lay in the fetal position, not daring to move. Ripped open, her borrowed blouse exposed her bruised chest and bloodstained bra. The stench of urine, dog and sweat-soaked polyester assaulted her nose, making her want to vomit. How long have I been here? 3-4 days. Xochitl had lost count. The only constants in her life now were the beatings Tootie gave her and the animal cage she occupied. Why doesn't Memo just get it over with and kill me? Xochitl peered through the grid of her cage. Several large, vacant kennels had been stacked in the room where she was being held. This has got to be the place Memo keeps the kids. Xochitl hadn't seen them. She hadn't seen Miguel either. Miguel, I'm sorry. Xochitl coughed, tasting blood in her mouth. Xochitl Sandoval? It's Officer Lowell. We spoke on the phone. The buzz told them to enter. Birch had easily called up Anita's sister's address when they'd returned to the squad car. Like her sister, Xochitl had a colorful arrest record that highlighted her scintillating accomplishments: drunk and disorderly, solicitation, possession and shoplifting. Birch's information showed her remaining at the same address and staying out of trouble for several years. DCFS probably got to her. I see it all the time, Birch had added in the car. The Department of Child and Family Services can sometimes help. Wish we had that option for crap dog owners. Lucy looked around the ramshackle apartment complex as she and Birch ascended the outside stairs to the open door on the second floor. The white stucco walls, spotted with rust stains, had taken on a yellow hue. Bars secured each apartment window they passed, and security doors covered each entrance. Xochitl, dressed in a short, pink terry cloth robe, stood in the doorway and cradled an infant in her arms. Lucy spotted another child babbling away happily in a second-hand playpen when Xochitl ushered them into her small but immaculate kitchen. Anita sleeping, she whispered, looking uncomfortable. She don't want to talk, but I don't care. Xochitl held her baby close to her chest and tilted her chin up at Lucy and Birch. I look out for me familia first. She gestured for Lucy and Birch to sit at the creaky kitchen table and poured each of them coffee from a stained thermos. Lucy could see Xochitl's hand shaking as she poured. The coffee smelled odd and looked cloudy with fatty cream. Lucy brought the nauseating concoction to her lips but only pretended to drink. Gracias, Senora Sandoval. Birch attempted the charming angle but didn't touch the greasy-looking brew. Doesn't help that you made that sound like gracias. Your Spanish sucks. But at least it's sincere. Xochitl smirked quickly, visibly relaxed, and sunk down onto one of the metal kitchen chairs. Birch, you sly dog. Pretending to be all incompetent. Maybe Gabe's charm isn't the only way to gain people's confidence. Xochitl took a long indulgent drink from her cup. Lucy finally placed the odd smell as the slightly alcoholic sweetness of Irish cream. Not exactly on the wagon, Xochitl. DCFS can figure that out on their own. I've got Werebeasts and gangbangers to sort out. A few minutes passed. Xochitl scooted her coffee cup around and fussed with the baby's brown curls. Lucy heard the kitchen clock tick away the seconds, the occasional coo from the baby in the playpen and a deep snore, Anita's most likely, echo from the back bedroom. Momentarily Lucy flashed back to Bear County. Hannah had taken her when she was 6. They'd ridden the teacups for hours and then picnicked in Frontierland. She'd laughed hysterically as only little kids can at the hidden snoring bears, and Hannah had made up an elaborate story of how they would go hunt for the bears after the park closed. Lucy stifled a smirk. Birch cleared his throat and shoved a wad of bills across the table towards Xochitl. If all else fails, I guess that should speed things up. Almost instantly Xochitl stopped her fidgeting. She snatched up the cash and stuffed it into her bra. Primly she pulled the front of her robe closed again and hugged the baby. She took a deliberate breath. All I know's neighborhood kids is missing after El Gallo's place got tossed. He's around but no one's seen him. East Los is here and there, but they no do nothing. Xochitl's breath caught, and Lucy saw the fear in her eyes return. That's not what we're hearing, Lucy pressed. Where is Memo holed up? Xochitl. Xochitl shrugged her narrow shoulders. Then who knows? Lucy looked at the back bedroom. Anita went, Xochitl admitted bluntly. But you gotta promise to help me if I make her tell you. I hear stuff on the news and then my neighbor went Lobo last week. He's just this guy 1 minute. Then he went all crazy and hairy and strong. Tore the shit out of his apartment screaming and screaming. Some men came with guns, not Memo's boys. Los Choteros shot the guy down. Dumped the body in the empty lot. Burned it. We all watched. Xochitl shifted the baby to her hip. I saw a black truck, the soldier kind, drive around and pick up people. Some turn Lobo right then. Some's just regular like me. I'm afraid to leave my house. Xochitl crossed into hysterics. Birch looked helpless and reached out to pat Xochitl's hand. Listen, Lucy said and took the baby from Xochitl's arms. You are doing the right thing here. I can help. I am the only one who can help, but you are going to have to help me. Do you understand, Xochitl? The young woman nodded, but Lucy could tell she wasn't convinced. Her eyes were dull, and no energy remained once the wave of hysteria subsided. Memo took my man yesterday. I don't know where. I don't know what to do. Las Bestias is gonna kill Ms. Niños. Sobbing, Xochitl reached for her infant. Lucy returned the child and looked to Birch, who tipped his chin toward the back. He's right. We can't coddle her. It's too serious. Lucy steeled herself for the next move. Without a word, she sprang from her chair and darted toward the back bedroom. She flung open the door and, seeing only Anita Magaña wrapped in her sheets, with a pillow over her face, swooped into the room and pulled down the dusty quilt covering the window. The putrid smell of alcohol-infused sweat filled the room. Hey Anita. Wakey wakey. Lucy yelled and ripped the pillow from Anita's face. Stories to tell. Get up. Anita screeched and pulled the thin sheet up to her wrinkled neck. I have to piss. Anita croaked through extreme cotton mouth. Piss on your own time. Lucy hovered close to Anita's face, regretting it. Instantly, the woman's breath had the sharp stink of vomit and nicotine. Lucy took a quick step back. Get the fuck out of my house, you chota whore. Anita spoke slowly as if trying to overcome the slurring. I know my rights. You got to get out. She unsuccessfully fumbled for the pack of cigarettes on the shoddy nightstand. Memo has Xochitl, and you are going to tell me where he's keeping her. Lucy's words came out harsher than she'd planned, but the sight of Anita made her blood boil. This was the woman Xochitl had had to deal with as a child. Lucy had seen too many of these types of mothers. Abusive, destructive. Drunks making their kids' lives hell because of laziness and narcissism. These were the women responsible for the likes of Tootie, Flacco, and Memo. These were the women who allowed their children to torture animals and terrorize the weak. This ruin of a person explained in one instant why a woman like Xochitl had ended up with trash like Memo. It spoke volumes that Xochitl was trying to extract herself from the neighborhood and the life. Lucy felt real rage rise in her. Anita's eyes could barely focus, but for a heartbeat she leaned in and looked straight at Lucy. With a sharp intake of air, Anita shrank away, huddled closer to the wall like a hurt animal, and mumbled, Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos santificado sea tu nombre. Cut that out, Lucy interrupted. In that moment Lucy realized how scared Anita looked and how pathetic. She also knew that given an inch, Anita would lie and wheedle and give her nothing. You're going to tell me where Memo is. You're going to tell me now. If not for Xochitl, do this for Miguel. Invoking Miguel's name shifted Anita's fear to deep sorrow. Miguel hates me. She nearly choked on her own tears. Lucy waited, listening. To Giselle in the kitchen curse burst out in Spanish. Guess we've overstayed our welcome. Lucy couldn't care less. These women were the key to locating Memo and Xochitl. Okay, listen. Lucy took another run at convincing Anita. Memo wants to hurt Xochitl. And what would hurt Xochitl more than Miguel being hurt? I bet Memo is using Miguel to get to Xochitl. So, if you know where Miguel is, tell me. Can help. Anita let out a defeated sigh. El Gallo's got a warehouse in North Hollywood. The address. I wrote it in my matchbook. Lucy snatched the matches from the nightstand and folded back the small cover. She could make out an address in shaky handwriting. 7041 Vineland, North Hollywood. Birch, we're leaving. Lucy turned away from Carlos Magaña's widow, shutting away any trace of sympathy. You made your bed. Chapter 13. Need a Kdevaki? Want an adventure? We have the perfect getaway for you. Where's your destination? North America, Central America, or South America? Highly experienced crew. Don't wait. Offer ends soon. Call Blue Moon Adventure Travel. 1-900-BLU-MOON. Xochitl and Lucy raced outside the convenience store and were met by loud banging as if something was throwing itself against the steel frame of the horse rig. Travis. We gotta get the rig away from the gas pumps. Lucy yelled over the racket. And quick. Before someone calls the cops. Or the catchers, Xochitl added, and they looked at each other, sharing an oh shit moment. Quick, keys. Xochitl cupped her hands and caught the rooster key chain. I thought he was supposed to stay sedated. She made a beeline to El Gallo. Guess the trip took too long, Lucy said, running around the front of the Tornado. Travis was working hard to rip his cage apart, and the pounding the horse rig was taking reverberated through El Gallo and into Xochitl. Hijo de puta. Xochitl revved the engine and pulled the car forward, away from the gas pump island. She threw El Gallo into park, turned off the ignition and shoved the keys into her pocket. The car rocked with the turbulence of an out-of-balance washing machine, tossing Xochitl from side to side. She reached for the door handle but couldn't grab it. Lucy. I can't get out. Xochitl pounded her fists on the window. Panicked. Lucy yanked the door open and pulled Xochitl out of the car. She lost her balance and stumbled, but Lucy's grip kept her from hitting the pavement. We gotta trank him again, Lucy said, a look of dread plastered on her face. It was hard enough catching Travis with 4 people. Xochitl choked back the bile rising in her throat and nodded. Her hands trembled as she removed the keys once more from her pocket and wobbled unsteadily to the back of the Tornado. For the moment, El Gallo's rocking had waned, and Travis' relentless banging had ceased. Finally, Lucy said with a sigh. Gripping her right hand with her left, Xochitl steadied herself and unlocked the trunk. Inside she saw Rollins' modified tranq gun lying next to their green duffel of weapons. She looked over to Lucy, who shrugged as if to say, I couldn't help myself. Xochitl shook her head and tossed the tranq gun to her partner before selecting the smaller pistol tranq. She also grabbed her Remington and a few extra shells. Just in case. Looks like we've got an audience. Lucy nodded to a small group of people gathered by the gas pump. A cook, a waitress, a couple of truckers and Todd, who had his cell phone out. No doubt recording tonight's entertainment. Great. Xochitl set the shotgun on El Gallo's trunk and loaded her tranq gun. As she and Lucy made their way to the back of the rig, the horse truck suddenly lifted a foot off the ground and slammed down on the cement with an enormous crack. Crap. The axle. Xochitl slapped her hands to her head. As the spectators ran for cover, Xochitl and Lucy darted to the back of the trailer, guns locked and loaded. Lucy stood a short distance away from the rig, her modified tranq gun aimed at the doors. Setting the Remy on the pavement, Xochitl carefully and quietly unlocked the latch. On 3. She held up 3 fingers and silently counted. 1, 2, 3. Xochitl hoisted the latch, threw open the trailer door and ran back to Lucy, where Travis' eyes glowed an absinthe green through the darkness. Lucy fired. The dart hit its target. Travis reared up, howled ferociously and slammed against the trailer wall. Shit, Lucy whispered. I think I got him. You did. Taking point, her tranq pistol aimed, Xochitl inched slowly forward in an effort to see where Travis had fallen. Over her shoulder a light shone into the trailer, and she heard Lucy yell, "No!" Time slowed for Xochitl, where Travis' eyes glowed fluorescent green as he charged toward her. All she saw was a giant beast with tan fur leap through the air. Xochitl let off round after round until her pistol clicked empty. A single shot suddenly rang out, where Travis flew backward into the trailer. Adrenaline pumping through her veins, Xochitl shook uncontrollably as she turned around to face Lucy. Xochitl's legs gave way, and she dropped to the ground panting, heart racing, and pulse pounding. She rolled onto her butt and put her head between her knees, the tranq pistol dangling loosely from her grip. She inhaled and exhaled slowly to calm herself. "You okay?" Lucy knelt beside her. "So not a backfire then?" Xochitl raised her head. "Guess not." Lucy looked apologetic, but Xochitl waved it off. "Gracias, by the way." She patted Lucy on the shoulder. "De nada," Lucy replied, rising. She held out her hand for Xochitl. "Very good, Grasshopper." Xochitl clutched Lucy's hand. Lucy heaved Xochitl to her feet. "We'll make a Mexican out of you yet," she said. "I thought I already was." Lucy feigned shock. "Oh no." Xochitl grabbed her shotgun. "You haven't performed all the rituals yet. You ladies all right?" A male voice twanged from across the parking lot. Xochitl and Lucy turned around and watched, perplexed, as a 40-something man dressed in jeans, a plaid long-sleeve shirt, cowboy boots and cowboy hat skipped toward them. As he got closer, Xochitl noticed a huge silver belt buckle adorning his waist. The man was in good shape, only a slight paunch protruding from underneath his tucked-in shirt. "We're fine." Lucy put her hand up. "Ooey," the man howled. "That was some shot." "Name's Willard. Willard Hardy." Willard Hardy said. "But you can call me Tex on account I'm from Texas." He tipped his gleaming white 10-gallon cowboy hat. "Thanks, Tex," Lucy replied, squirming at the compliment. "Man, I thought it was you when I saw your ride from my rig parked over yonder," Tex drawled. "But I weren't sure till I saw what you two ladies were doing, then I knew. The Werewolf Whisperer." As if saluting the flag, Tex removed his hat and placed it over his heart. "Yep, that's me." Lucy gave Tex a weak smile. "So, Texas." Xochitl stepped in. "I'm Xochitl Magaña and Lucy Lowell. And that's," Tex pointed at Xochitl's car, "El Gallo, 1966 Olds Tornado, a classic." Tex turned his attention back to the two women. "I'm a huge fan." He offered his hand. Xochitl, shocked yet pleasantly surprised the man had both pronounced her name correctly and knew his muscle cars, shook Tex's hand. "It's a pleasure, Texas. I've read your book." Tex turned to Lucy. "Well, me and the missus that is, and watched your instructional videos online." "Really?" Lucy cocked an eyebrow, her fan phobia modulated by genuine interest. "How come?" "My girl Billy," Tex's voice quavered, "turned hound about 6 months ago. Near here." Lucy asked, "Do you need some?" Xochitl frowned at her partner. "Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Help." "No, ma'am," Tex replied. "Great." Xochitl rubbed her hands together enthusiastically. "My daughter and the missus live in North Texas. Denton, to be exact." "Wait. How the hell are you here?" Xochitl asked, shocked. "He's so far from home." "Well, ma'am, I got stuck behind state line about a week after K-Day." Xochitl and Lucy looked at each other. "Lots of us truckers did," Tex said. "We run whatever goods make it through the line up and down the state now, sendin' money home when we can. We'd better, you know." Xochitl nodded to the open trailer with a tranked Werebeast inside. "Yeah," Tex agreed. "That's some big feller in there. Looks like he did a number on your rear axle." Tex walked around inspecting the rig. He bent down and looked underneath. "I know." Xochitl kneeled next to Texas. "Should still be able to drive it, right? If I take it really slow." "Well, I wouldn't go over 20 miles per hour and I wouldn't go for more than a few miles." Tex stood and scratched his head before he put his hat back on. "But it's doable." "Great." Xochitl stood. "What do you think?" "It's getting late," Lucy said. "When was the boat leaving again?" "Bob's text said it leaves the old Catalina Express dock at midnight sharp." Xochitl sighed. "With or without Travis?" She checked her phone. "We're cutting it close. Looks like we don't have a choice." Lucy rubbed her eyes. "I got some chains in my truck. Tex said. I can jury-rig your axle to the frame. Should get you up the road a piece. We just gotta make it to the bridge by the port. Xochitl felt relieved and grateful for Tex's help. Great, Lucy said. Well, hot damn. I'll be right back. Tex hop-skipped back to his rig. Lucy turned to the open trailer and slowly moved in for a closer look. How's Beastie Boy looking? Xochitl leaned around Lucy trying to glimpse inside. Can you shine your phone near the back? Lucy asked. At first Xochitl couldn't find Travis in the shadows, but as she moved in closer, she saw what appeared to be a twisted lump of brownish fur lying on its side with its long sinewy legs extended outward. Travis' torso was curved in on itself and his lupin head was tucked toward his chest, which rose and fell to the rhythm of his steady breathing. He looks peaceful, Lucy said. Well, at least one of us is. Xochitl panned the light over to the back wall. In the corner, crumpled in half, was Travis' gurney. Well, that's not an option. Let's just leave him where he is. Lucy grabbed the trailer door and latched. It closed again. What about when we get to the port? Xochitl took out her keys and locked the latch. Let's cross that bridge when we get to it. Lucy smirked. Xochitl groaned. Lucy chuckled and nodded. Texas. Tex held a thick chain in his arms as he lumbered across the parking lot. His hop-skip clearly not a quirky canter but the result of an injured leg. I'm gonna go help him, Xochitl said. Okay. Lucy took the guns and the keys and headed for El Gallo as Xochitl jogged over to Tex. Help you with that? She asked, falling in step with Tex. I'm good, Tex said, though he looked a little strained by the weight. Have to do this all the time when I'm up in the mountains. Oh, how should I say this? So Tex, what's up with your leg? That. Tex smiled. Used to ride bulls back home. You did. Xochitl was impressed. Hi, Joel. Yes, ma'am. Tex nodded. Got my foot stuck in a stirrup. Damn bull dragged me around for a bit, nearly took my leg off. Ended my career on the circuit. Hi, Joel. Xochitl shook her head. Is that where you got your buckle? Yes, ma'am. Tex said, his eyes twinkling with pride. Denton County. Champ, 10 years ago. They got to the horse trailer, and Tex dropped the chains with a clanking thud. I'll have this up in no time. Tex unclipped a walkie-talkie hooked on his belt and set it on the ground next to the chains. What's that for? Xochitl nodded to the radio. CB. I like to monitor the chatter. Tex smiled. Helps me work. He sprawled flat on his back and looked up at Xochitl. You remind me of a señorita I met down in Guadalajara, before the missus. That is, she was a real spitfire too. He scooted underneath the trailer. Xochitl shook her head, stifling a giggle. I like this Texas bull rider turned trucker. So how's it going? Lucy asked, approaching the back of the rig. Great. Xochitl pointed to Texas bull rider. Champ. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Lucy tilted her head in surprise. So Texas. Lucy sucked in a short breath as she bent down. I didn't know the Kyon Virus had gotten as far as Texas. We've heard of isolated cases in Arizona and Nevada. Xochitl squatted across from Lucy. Oh, and Washington State. Well, I've heard of it getting as far as Florida. Tex poked his head out from under the rig. Miss Xochitl, can you slide the end of the chain toward me? Xochitl heaved the end of the chain under the trailer and dragged the slack to Texas. The trucker pulled the chain around the axle and over the frame. How do you hear that? Lucy asked. It's not being reported. Since when did the news get anything right? Xochitl grumbled. Ham radio, Tex stated matter of fact. And you're right, Miss Xochitl, the news ain't reportin' nothing right these days. Folks gotta get the information the old-fashioned way, they gotta talk to each other. Tex scooted out from under the trailer and grabbed his CB. There. That'll do her. He slapped the dirt off his pants. We can't thank you enough, Texas. Lucy rose and smiled at the trucker. Yeah. Xochitl patted Tex on the back. You're a lifesaver. Was nothin'. He bowed his head slightly, swatting the air with his hand. Xochitl detected a little pink in his cheeks. Though I'd feel better if I followed you gals up the road, Tex added. Just till you get to the bridge. You don't have. Lucy stopped in mid-sentence. Her gaze drifted past Xochitl and Tex. Hello. Hey. A male voice shouted. Xochitl craned her neck and followed Lucy's line of sight. Todd the store clerk jogged toward them, holding a plastic shopping bag as he shouted and waved in their direction. Hey, Todd panted. I got your snacks and lotion. He held the bag out to Xochitl. Thanks. She grabbed the bag, took out her pepitas and shoved them in her cargo pants pocket. She tossed Lucy her pretzels. Todd mumbled and shifted from side to side, looking like a little lost puppy. Was there something else? Lucy asked. Todd's voice nervously rose in pitch. Yeah. I think someone might have called the authorities. Shit, Lucy and Xochitl said in unison. Well, time to hit the road, Xochitl said. Lucy tossed her the rooster key chain. You two are like a well-oiled machine. Tex gaped at them. Hunting things with claws and sharp teeth can do that for a girl. Xochitl slapped Tex on the back. Lucy turned her head sharply in the direction of the highway. Off in the distance, Xochitl heard sirens getting louder as they approached. We're not gonna make it out of here in time. Xochitl started for El Gallo, but Lucy didn't move. Luce. Tex. Lucy turned to the trucker. I think we'll take you up on that offer. Yes, ma'am. Tex hooted and turned to Xochitl. Drive out the exit behind the diner and wait for me there. And take this. He handed her the CB walkie-talkie. Keep it on channel 17. He turned and hop-skipped back to his rig without further explanation. Xochitl stood next to El Gallo, playing with the CB, as Lucy limped around the front of the Toronado to the passenger side. You comin'? Lucy plopped onto her seat, tugging the car door shut. Yep. Xochitl tossed the CB on the dash, then waved to Todd. Bye, Todd. She slid behind the wheel and revved the engine. In her side view mirror she saw Todd standing by the gas pumps, looking dumbfounded as he waved goodbye. Xochitl pulled El Gallo up to the exit at the rear of the truck stop diner. Ahead of them, El Gallo's headlights illuminated an unlit road, which looped around the station back toward the 110 South on-ramp. A metallic silver 18-wheeler pulled behind the horse trailer. She spotted Tex at the wheel. His bright white cowboy had a beacon in the dark. Collect call for the Windy City. Collect call for the Windy City, Texas. Voice crackled through the CB radio. This is Texas two-step. You got your ears on. Come back. Xochitl smiled at Tex's CB handle in trucker lingo. She felt like she was listening to characters from a cheesy 70s road trip movie, the kind she used to watch with her papa, who had loved them. Lucy snickered. You're listening to the smooth sounds of the Windy City. A Barry White baritone voice replied. What's your 20? Tex asked. On the 47 approaching the gate as we speak. The Windy City's dulcet tones flowed over the handheld radio. I'm at the Chew and Choke, Tex came back. Geraldine's? Windy City asked. Affirmative, Tex said. Hey, I got a couple of beavers. Beavers? Xochitl wrinkled her nose and looked over to Lucy, who seemed equally disenchanted with being called a beaver. And a rooster with a broken wing. A full-grown bear's breathing down there. Next, Tex continued. I need you to flip-flop our way and bring the baby into the cradle. Come back. 10-4, Windy City replied. I'm puttin' the pedal to the metal. Watch for my flashin' chickens, Tex said. Copy, Windy replied. I'm northbound and down. El Gallo? You there? Tex asked. Xochitl picked up the walkie and pressed the push-to-talk button. We're here. Not liking being called beavers, though. That's a big 10-4. Tex chuckled. Old habits. Did you catch any of? Yeah. Xochitl noticed a confused look on Lucy's face. We're gonna ride between Tex and his amigo Windy, she explained. And you know that how? Lucy rubbed her chin. There's a lot about me you don't know. Xochitl grinned. El Gallo, Tex urged. Best get our wheels spinnin' da. That's a big 10-4. Xochitl pulled out onto the road behind Geraldine's and drove toward the freeway entrance. She could hear the heavy rumbling of Tex's big rig on their tail. Collect call for Texas two-step. Come back. A high-pitched female voice with a sassy swagger came over the CB. You got Tex, driver. Come on, Tex replied. You got Switchblade Sally Honey Pie, the woman cooed. Nice. Xochitl glanced at Lucy as they approached the four-way stop before the on-ramp. I need to get me a cool handle. Lucy shook her head. Go on, laugh, Werewolf Whisperer. You know you want one too. Xochitl stuck out her tongue. Well, butter my biscuit. Sweet Switchblade Sally. Tex drawled flirtatiously. You still drive in that parking lot? To be sure, Sally came back. What's your 20? Just merging onto the 110 South. Come back, Tex replied. Xochitl veered El Gallo onto the freeway. She glimpsed the cab of Tex's rig as he pulled up behind her. Wish we could play catch-up, honey pie, Switchblade came back. But you're big. Bad Papa Bear brought Mama Bear, and Baby Bear with him. Lucy rolled down her window and adjusted her side view mirror. I can see. Bree, you make that 4 sets of flashing lights headed our way. She grimaced. At Xochitl. Xochitl checked her side mirror. I can't see a damn thing. Trust me. Lucy sounded nervous. I see 'em. They're there. Okay, chica. Whatever you say. Xochitl gripped the steering wheel and leaned in. Go, 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 she mumbled under her breath. I'm approaching your back door. Switchblade came in. You and Wendy put that baby in the cradle and I'll tuck her in tight. Come back. Sally's gonna block the police from seeing us. Xochitl translated. I got that. Thanks. Lucy scowled. 10-4 Sally, Tex replied. We're on the floor looking for more. You copy? That little rooster? Come back. Copy, Tex. Xochitl came back. We're putting the pedal to the metal. Xochitl stepped on the accelerator. El Gallo whined and shook as she tried to coax more speed from the tornado. The horse trailer's jury-rigged rear axle was not holding the weight of the rig well. The drag it caused on her car was apparent as the engine strained to haul the beast attached to it. El Gallo was not made for this. Xochitl white-knuckled the steering wheel. We're only about 4 miles out. Lucy's voice wavered. Won't matter if Smokey nabs us. Xochitl grimaced. We get caught transporting a beast, they're gonna lock us up and throw away the key. Just then, a flash of blinding light reflected off the side mirror into Xochitl's eyes. Hi, Joel. She put her hand up to block the glare. I think Tex just flashed us. Lucy swiveled in her seat. He's lighting up the trailer. She's worried. Crap. With the darts you shot into Travis and the elephant dart I tranked him with, Lucy nervously calculated. He should be down until Catalina. She gave Xochitl a weak smile. Just so you know, we get caught, I'm not sharing a bunk with you. Xochitl punched the gas once more. The interior of El Gallo lit up. Ugh. Xochitl blocked the light from her eyes and grabbed the CB. Hey Tex, we're coming up on MacArthur and babies. Gettin' fussy. Wendy, what's your 20? Tex drawled. Coming up on your back door, Windy City answered. Your chickens are lighting my way home. Wendy, you sweet thing, you're as smooth as ever, Sally cooed. I just love to watch you from behind. A deep rumble vibrated through El Gallo just before the giant silhouette of an 18-wheeler like a stealth bomber passed by Xochitl's window. Completely blacked out, the truck would have seemed invisible if it hadn't been outlined in reflective lights. The horn bellowed twice, signaling Windy City's arrival. Xochitl and Lucy winced. The black hole of a big rig eased ahead of the caravan. El Gallo's headlights illuminated the back of the truck, which morphed from pitch black to rich purple and sparkled with small diamond flecks. Intimidating by night, badass by day. Xochitl picked up the walkie and hit the PTT button. Collect call for the Windy City. This is La Vida Loba. La Vista Loba. Windy City oozed sensuality. Please make it stop. Lucy huffed. I'm gonna have some fun tonight, even if it kills me. Xochitl made a kissy face at her friend. Windy City, Tex's voice came over the CB. Best keep your silver tongue away from that little wolf. She just might bite it off. Sorry to break up the lovin', Switchblade Sally cut in, but I got a whole slew of jackpots coming up on the left and I don't feel like getting a bear bite. Let's put this baby to bed. Lucy grabbed the CB from Xochitl. That's a big 10-4 Switchblade. Xochitl smirked. A huge double-decker 18-wheeler loaded with cars on both levels sidled up to El Gallo's driver's side. A woman in her 50s sat behind the wheel. She had a pale scarf headband tied around her dark bobbed hair, and the collar of her polo shirt pulled up to her ears. If it hadn't been for the silver blade she repeatedly flicked as she drove, Sally would have appeared more like a soccer mom than a trucker. She smiled and touched the switchblade to her temple in salute to Xochitl and Lucy just as 4 highway patrol cars zoomed past, lights flashing and sirens shrieking. Babies tucked in tight for the night, Switchblade's voice came over the walkie. Zoki and Lucy watched the cop cars speed down the freeway and across the Vincent Thomas Bridge. Xochitl and Lucy let out a collective sigh of relief. That's a big 10-4, Tex replied. I owe you a brown bottle, Sally. Make it a case, Sally cooed. And you got a date. Look alive. Look alive. Windy City broke in. We're approaching the 4-7. Copy, Xochitl responded and straightened up in her seat, scratching her shoulder with her chin. Her fifth win was on the downslide and she wanted to be done with this job, even if it was for Bob's kid. We should take the harbor exit, Lucy said. We can drive under the bridge and park there. You've been here before? Xochitl glanced at her partner. Long time ago, Lucy muttered. A faraway look passed over her face. Gay band. I tracked a dogfighting ring out of Long Beach. They would pay off harbor security and use the underpass of the bridge to hold the fights. I knew you had a hard-on for saving pinch perros. Xochitl gave Lucy a little shove. But wasn't that way out of your jurisdiction? Yeah. Lucy laughed. We used to do a lot of stupid things. So nothing's changed then? Xochitl smirked. Well, you know, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Lucy nudged Xochitl back. See what I did there? You need to work on your material. Xochitl rolled her eyes and grabbed the CB. Tex. Xochitl let off the PTT button. Is this where we say adios, little Loba? Tex's drawl sounded melancholy. Yeah. Xochitl's throat tightened and she choked back a tear. So many goodbyes. Should be used to it by now. But people like Bob, Lefty and now Tex were reminders of how precious family was to her, and that everything she was going through would somehow be worth it in the end. Tell him thank you, Lucy whispered. Little Red Riding Hood says muchas gracias. Xochitl radioed back, smiling smugly. That goes for you too, Windy City, Sally. Always enjoy pulling the wool over Smokey's eyes. Sally chuckled. My pleasure. Windy City's melodious voice flowed out of the radio. Tex. I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Texas. Xochitl clicked off the push-to-talk button, not knowing what to say to the person who had saved her, Lucy's and probably Travis' life. Via con. Dios. Why tú también? Tex twanged, making Xochitl giggle. I'm northbound and down. Your dad was right about truckers being the best kind of people. Lucy gave Xochitl's shoulder a squeeze as they watched Tex's rig past them. El Gallo veered off the 47 freeway onto the Harbor Boulevard exit. They drove the half-mile down Swimford Street toward the old Catalina Expressport Inn. Silence, each woman lost in her own thoughts and exhaustion. This had been one of their more eventful trips. As Xochitl took in the surroundings, it occurred to her that she'd never been to San Pedro before. She had always wanted to go to Catalina Island, having heard it was a beautiful place where golf carts were the only means of transportation. The idea one could only drive a little car around was fascinating to her, and she thought of how much fun it would have been to go sea fishing with her Papa and Miguel. Papa would have loved that. But the thriving tourist port to the magical island of golf carts and fancy fishing was no more. After the initial werewolf outbreak, there had been a mass exodus from the main island through the Avalon Harbor. Since then, the channel to Catalina had been shut down, essentially cutting off all the islands from the rest of the state. Now, patrol boats kept a vigilant watch on the ports along the southern California coast. As with most deserted towns when the industry dries up, Catalina had turned into a rundown, decayed, ghostly version of itself. Such was the fate of the Catalina Expressport. Turn left there. Lucy pointed ahead to a dark area under the Vincent Thomas Bridge. It'll be a good place to stash the car. Xochitl wrinkled her nose. The idea of leaving El Gallo in such an unlit, seedy area unnerved her. Nevertheless, she knew it was better than having someone spot them carting a tranquilized Werebeast to a clandestine meeting with a venal boat captain. She drove across the expansive asphalt roadway that had once served as a parking lot to the ferry terminal. Several gaping cracks and a myriad of potholes provided a challenging obstacle course. Xochitl maneuvered the rig cautiously so as not to get stuck. She parked the car under the bridge and sighed victoriously. Made it. Xochitl turned off the engine and looked at Lucy. Not yet. Lucy opened the car door and stuck out one leg. Now comes the fun part. She exited the vehicle. Crap. Zoki grabbed the keys and slid out from behind the wheel, pausing to catch her sixth wind. She shut the door with her hip and walked to Lucy, already standing next to El Gallo's trunk. So, Xochitl stared at Lucy, waiting to hear her plan for getting Travis out of the trailer and to the boat. So, Lucy put her hands on her hips. First, let's see if Travis is still asleep. Xochitl unlocked the trunk, and Lucy grabbed Rollins' modified tranq gun. Tired and achy, they plodded to the rear of the trailer. As before, Xochitl unlocked the latch while Lucy, gun readied, waited to see if where Travis was sleeping like a little puppy or ready to pounce and rip their throats out. Xochitl mouthed 3 and threw open the door. Nothing happened. She chanced a look inside. Under the tunnel, without any lighting, the inside of the trailer was a black void. I need more than my phone light to see, Xochitl whispered over her shoulder. Will this help? A graveled male smoker's voice uttered. Holy shit. Lucy swung around and pointed her gun at the man. Whoa. The withered old man, dressed in a security guard uniform, raised his hands and a large flashlight in the air. Who are you? Xochitl postured up by Lucy. Name's Mac. The security guard shifted his weight from side to side. I work for Captain Azov. You're the Werewolf Whisperer, right? I'm here to help you. With, Mac said apprehensively and nodded up to the horse trailer. Lucy lowered the tranq gun and held her hand out for the flashlight in Mac's grip, which he gave to her. Without taking her eyes off him, Lucy handed the light to Xochitl. Ready. Xochitl moved back to the open trailer door. Lucy turned and nodded but kept Mac in her line of sight. You might want to stand back a bit, she said to Mac, hoisted the modified tranq gun to her shoulder and aimed. Xochitl took a deep breath, switched on the light and shone it into the darkened trailer. She panned around the right side of the rig where they'd last seen Travis curled up, and where he was still sound asleep. He'd rolled onto his belly and was sprawled out on the trailer floor, looking almost comfortable with his head resting on its side. He breathed heavily from his snout. Never heard a worse snore before, Xochitl whispered. Looks like we're good to go, but we still don't have anything to put him on. I got a flatbed hand truck you could use, Mac said. And you didn't bring it with you, why? Xochitl shut off the flashlight and stared at the security guard. Mac hesitated answering. Xochitl eyed the man warily. Something's off. Well, go get it, Lucy told Mac as if she were speaking to a dopey golden retriever. Go on. No problem. Mac smiled weakly and left. There's something off about that guy. Xochitl watched Mac trudge toward the dock. He seemed jumpy. Lucy looked equally wary. Well, I did have a gun pointed at him. Lucy flicked her hand dismissively and faced the truck. Yeah, still. Xochitl grabbed the loading ramp tucked in a slot between the trailer doors and the rear bumper. She yanked on the grips and pulled, but the ramp wouldn't budge. She yanked again. Nothing. Chingadera. Xochitl yanked a third time, but it was a no-go. Pinch ramp, she muttered, slamming her hand on her thigh. Settle down. Let's try together. Lucy took one end from Xochitl and they pulled with all their might, but the ramp wouldn't move. I carajo. Xochitl threw her hands up in the air as Lucy bent down and checked under the trailer. Looks like Travis Tantrum smashed part of the undercarriage along with the axle. Lucy rose, slapping the dust off her sweats. So no ramp then? Xochitl sighed. Nope. Guess we're doing this the old-fashioned way. Xochitl hopped up onto the end of the rig, then grabbed Lucy's hand to help her up. They approached Travis cautiously. You take one arm. I'll take the other, Lucy said as she moved to Travis. Xochitl squatted down and hoisted Travis' arm, placing it around her neck. She glanced over to Lucy, who winced at the weight Travis added to her injured leg. You okay? Lucy bit down on her lip but nodded yes. On 3. 1, 2, 3. They heaved Travis up by the armpits. Oh my God. Xochitl groaned before dropping her side of the teen were. Lucy let go of her side and bent over, panting. That was a bust grab. His. She pointed to Travis' legs. Xochitl nodded and moved to the rear of the Werebeast. As if she were a powerlifter, she squatted down, grabbed Travis' legs and waited for Lucy to grip his arms. Ready? Lucy asked. Xochitl nodded. Go. Again they heaved Travis' body up with all their might. They managed to move him 2 feet before Lucy lost her hold on him and dropped his head onto the steel floor with a thump. They gritted their teeth, waiting to see if Travis would wake, but to their relief his tongue lapped at his lips and he exhaled a deep yawn. This calls for the carpet method, Xochitl said. Lucy's eyebrows squished together. You know, roll 'em. Oh, good idea, Lucy agreed. Xochitl shifted to her Travis side and sat on the floor, her legs bent for leverage. She grabbed his other side and, as if she were exercising on a rowing machine, pulled Travis' bottom half toward her so that his body was parallel to the trailer opening. Exhausted, Xochitl fell on her back. Good job, Lucy said. Xochitl pushed herself up to her feet. They rolled Travis to the edge of the truck. Like a dead fish he flipped and flopped side over side. To Zoki's surprise and relief, he never woke up. Now what? Lucy asked, glancing over the edge of the trailer. We roll him off. It's about a 2-foot drop. Lucy looked concerned. Xochitl shrugged. Okay. Lucy shook her head and knelt next to Xochitl. They rolled Travis over the edge. He landed on the pavement with a thud. Easy peasy. Xochitl hopped off the side of the rig as Lucy slid gingerly off. It's end. So what are we gonna do with this heap of crap? I could take it off your hands, Mac said, rolling a hand truck toward them. Hi, Joel. Zoki jumped. For someone so creaky, you certainly are stealthy. Zoc. Lucy scowled. Sorry, Mac. It's been a long night. Like I said. Mac eyed the trailer. I'll take it. It's in really bad shape, Lucy said. It's got a broken rear axle and the ramp is jammed. Not a problem. Mac sized up the trailer. Xochitl approached the guard who kept the dolly between them. Zoc? Lucy asked. Xochitl wheeled the hand truck away from Mac to where Travis lay. I don't want it. She lined the flatbed dolly up with the whir. Bob won't care. Guess it's yours then. Lucy turned to Mac. Mac raised a hand up in thanks. Xochitl shrugged off the gesture, more preoccupied with Travis and the walk to the dock than with the beat-up horse trailer. She couldn't care less what some security guard wanted. Probably scrap it for parts. A truck like this could bring a good price, and on a less eventful night she might have called a few people she knew to chop it for her. Thought we'd just flop him on the bed and roll him, Xochitl said to Lucy. Sounds like a plan. Lucy gripped the flatbed's handle. I'll tilt it on its side and you flip him on top. Hey, Mac, Xochitl called to the guard standing off to the side. You wanna lend a hand? Sorry. Mac touched his lower back. Of course. Xochitl rolled her eyes. She hooked her arms under Travis' head and shoulders as Lucy tilted the dolly on a slant. Xochitl managed to flip Travis' torso belly side up onto the flatbed, his 2 long legs dangling over its edge. Great. Lucy smiled. Let's get this done. Captain's waiting, Mac added. Duh. Xochitl glared at the old man. Lucy was about to push the dolly when Xochitl remembered the duffel of money. She leaned over to Lucy and whispered. Where's the dinero? Still in the back seat, I guess, Lucy stated matter of fact. Still? Xochitl asked, shocked they'd left a bag loaded with cash in an unlocked car. You're in charge of the money. Lucy raised her hand, acquitting herself of any blame and nodded to Travis. I'm in charge of this. Fine. Xochitl turned and stomped off toward El Gallo. She opened the door and looked into the back seat but didn't see the black duffel bag of money. Panic gripped her. She scrambled into the back of the car for a better look. Oh, thank you God. Xochitl sighed, spotting the duffel jammed on the floor between the front and back seat. Slinging the bag over her shoulder, she shimmied backward out of the car. She nervously scanned the underpass before unzipping the bag. Relief washed over her. The stacks of $100 bills were exactly where Bob had left them. That's a lot of dough, she mumbled. Just as she began to zip up the bag, Zoki noticed something white peeking out from under the bundles of money. She dug through the wads of cash and retrieved a thick envelope with a note written on the front. Kiddo, I knew you would never accept payment for saving my boy, but I feel I need to give you this for helping me. Save it for a rainy day and watch your 6. Love, V. Xochitl opened the unsealed envelope and stared at the money inside. She thumbed through the bills, all Benjamins, estimating the amount to be somewhere in the ballpark of 25 grand. Hi, Joel, Bob. Her eyes welled up with tears. She blinked them away. What's that? Lucy's asked. Shit. Xochitl jumped, dropping the envelope. Stop doing that. So, Lucy seemed unconcerned that she'd scared the hell out of her friend. Oh. Xochitl snatched the envelope and slung the duffel across her body. Your new pants. Unlocking the trunk, she crammed the envelope inside the pocket of Lefty's tan military jacket. Hope Lefty and Miguel's warfighting is going better than our were. Smuggling. She clutched the jacket, and her thoughts drifted momentarily to her brother. She wondered if she'd be back here someday sending him off to the island of misfit wars. Or will I have to put him down? Zoki shuddered. We'd better get a move on. Lucy nudged Xochitl back to their present task. Boat's leaving in 10. Shit. Xochitl tossed the jacket in the trunk and locked it before she and Lucy walked to Mac and an unconscious were Travis. Together, they grabbed the handle of the hand truck and began to pull Travis. At first the dolly moved smoothly, and Xochitl thought they'd finally caught a break. But of course, as the night had proven time and time again, this was not an easy job. The dolly jammed on Travis' lanky legs, almost tipping both hand truck and Werebeasts on their sides. Crap. Xochitl groaned, keeping her emotions in check and quelling the urge to jump up and scream to the heavens, why me God? Take his legs, Lucy said, sounding just as irritated as Xochitl felt. I always get the ass end of things, she mumbled and hoisted him off the ground. Good to go. Grunting in pain with each step, Lucy pulled the dolly as Zoki held onto Travis' legs. Max seemed to have taken pity on Lucy and grabbed onto the handle to help her pull. Guess your rollback's not so bad after all. As they approached the dock terminal, Xochitl's danger meter spiked. Gang tags and graffiti marred the once pristine whitewashed walls of the building. Cut up cardboard boxes, the remnants left by vagrants, were stashed in what remained of the doorway to the terminal, and garbage was strewn about the grounds. The prevalent smell of urine wafted on the ocean breeze. They pulled the dolly around the side of the building and walked through a rusted gate to the port side of the harbor. To the left of the old Catalina Express terminal, a long pier jutted out from the main port. A 40-foot fishing schooner with what appeared to be a crane at its stern moored alongside the wharf. The engines were running. Lucy shot Xochitl a worried look, and they double-timed it across the docks. Crack cement. They snagged on a pothole as they took a sharp turn onto the salt-weathered wooden pier. The hand truck tipped over and toppled onto Travis, knocking Xochitl to her knees while Lucy stumbled into Mac, who caught her before she fell. Zoki stood slowly, her wrist stung. She saw a large abrasion on the palm of her hand where she'd broken her fall. You okay? Lucy asked Xochitl, who was blowing on her palm. Yep. Xochitl wiped her hand on her pants. She looked up to the boat, the words "the Sharon" painted on its hull. The Sharon? Who's Sharon? Xochitl wondered aloud. It's pronounced Charon with a K sound, a male voice said with what sounded like an Eastern European accent. Xochitl peered around Lucy, who was helping Mac lift the hand truck off Travis, and saw a stocky man who appeared to be in his 60s, his tanned face leathery looking from years on the open sea. He wore navy blue dungarees that flared at the bottom and a white cable knit sweater with a white turtleneck. Underneath, a navy-colored skullcap covered a seemingly bald head, completing his uniform. He might have looked as if he'd walked out of a Norman Rockwell painting if it hadn't been for the fat cigar he held between his fingers. It's the name of the ferryman who carries the souls of the dead across the river Styx. The man pointed to the side of the boat. Apropos, don't you think? Xochitl neither liked the name of the boat nor the callous nature of the man, whom she assumed to be its captain. Captain Azov. Max stepped forward. This is the Werewolf Whisperer and her partner. Please, Lucy and Xochitl. Lucy stuck her hand out for the captain to shake. Captain Azov took Lucy's hand. He bent down slightly and placed a light kiss on the top. Gross. Xochitl wrinkled her nose. Lucy took it in stride. Mac, Captain Azov said to his man, take the dolly to the boarding ramp and tell Mills to lower the crane. Yes, sir. Mac veered the dolly around Lucy and his captain and headed toward the bow of the boat. As Mac neared the loading ramp, Xochitl noticed a large metal cage on the pier. Her eyes continued to follow him as he made his way up to the deck and back toward the stern, stopping at the entrance to the bridge. Beyond Mac, several oversized metal cages had been stowed at the bow. Zoki nudged Lucy. Looks like Travis isn't the only one with a golden ticket. Are you going to hoist him up with the crane? Lucy asked before Xochitl could mention the cages. Yes, the captain replied. We will harness it then lift it. Not it. Him. Xochitl scowled at Captain Azov. He grinned and stuck the cigar in his mouth. Xochitl moved toward the captain. Lucy touched Zoki's arm, stopping her. Xochitl glanced at her friend. Lucy eyed Azov's hip where he holstered his pistol. Has been out cold for a while, yes? Captain Azov blew out a puff of smoke and pointed his cigar at Travis. Xochitl felt dizzy from the mix of tobacco and seaweed in the air and took a step back from the captain. Yes, Lucy replied abruptly. We shot Travis with enough tranquilizer to keep him down for another 8 hours. No matter. The captain waved his cigar in the air. We have our methods. Should we need to use them? A sick feeling bubbled up in Xochitl's stomach. Are we doing the right thing? Over the captain's shoulder, Xochitl watched Mac approach with a large harness attached to a long chain and hook bundled in his arms. Mills gave me this, Captain. Mac dropped the harness at Lucy's feet. Good. Hook him up. Azov waved his cigar toward Travis and grinned at Xochitl once more. She knew he was toying with her, and she desperately wanted to kick him in the groin. She'd been underestimated by men like this her whole life and was not intimidated by Captain Azov from God knows where at all. Lucy grabbed part of the harness and helped Mac place it around Travis' torso. As the crane lowered, Mac lifted the chain's hook and latched it to a large rusted clasp that protracted from the rig. Okay, Mills. Mac yelled up to a man on the deck, and Travis was lifted off the pier, his arms and legs dangling lifelessly in the air. So, Captain Azov stuck his cigar in his mouth and slapped his hands together. You have something for me, yes? Xochitl glared at the man as he stared at the black duffel strapped across her body. His eyes gleamed with greed. She wanted to spit in his face. Yes. Xochitl gritted her teeth as she pulled the bag over her head and held it in front of her. She unzipped the duffel, spreading it open for the captain to inspect. Very good. Captain Azov reached for the bag. Xochitl pulled it away before he could take it. Not so fast. She handed the duffel to Lucy and got face to face with the captain. They were close in height. Xochitl stared straight into his eyes and lowered her voice. And there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. She let the words linger in the captain's ear and watched for the moment when she knew he'd gotten her meaning. It wasn't much more than a flinch of his eye, but it was enough to tell her he knew she was serious. See that Travis gets to the island alive and in one piece. Lucy closed in and handed the duffel of cash to the captain. Captain Azov tipped his fingers to his cap. Ladies. He turned and walked away. Az hole. Zoki muttered. No, I will not be bringing Miguel here. They turned and walked back to El